But I mean, I moved to New York 6 years ago, and I came out here for film school. So this has always been my end game. I went to school. I went to NYU. I was there for 4 years. While I was there, I had, a comfort job. I worked at Apple, and then that became, a job that sucked up my life. So I was actually at Apple for 5 years, and I just quit last August. So that was actually a very recent thing, because I got promoted with an Apple, and then I was just like, I'm making, a decent amount of money. I have benefits. Why would I want to be a PA, sort of a deal? But then I had to remind myself that I've always wanted to do production. Also, during that time, I spent a little bit of time. I worked on a documentary, and that's actually how I got into production. I worked on this documentary for a year. I was a production coordinator. And then during that time, I hired a couple of PAs for that. And then one of those PAs that I hired ultimately is the one who got me all the jobs on the television shows that I've been on recently. So
wow.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of worked out because I let her know once I was quitting Apple. I was like, hey, I know you've done production on some television shows. I would love to, become a PA. I feel comfortable finally quitting my job at Apple and doing that. So she reached out eventually, and she actually got me a job a week after I quit at Apple. And then from there, it's just kind of cascaded, and I've gotten some stuff. So it's worked out in my favor, really. I've been very, very lucky, I should say.
Well, I really believe that people create their own luck,
Yeah.
Sure. Everything that you've done in your past has accumulated to where you're at today. Everything. Just working at Apple, getting that job,
right.
and getting promoted, being the best there. It's just the way that you roll, and it's a successful way to roll. So
yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, I also worked. I worked a lot. I worked a lot of jobs also. So on the side, I worked on a web series, and I was a second AD for that. And that was kind of my introduction to being really a part of a production series, because the camera team for that is the same camera team who works on a lot of web series, like High Maintenance. I don't know if anyone knows that one, but it's the same crew for that. So I kind of learned a lot from them. And then after that, I was also kickboxing. I think maybe if you remember this a little bit, but I became a kickboxing instructor because I wanted to learn how to kind of have a voice and learn how to kind of command a room a little bit, because that's really important on a set. So I kind of built my skill sets from different things so that I'd be able to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable being on a really big set, on a big union show like Billions or whatever.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that she was like, well, what do I need to do to develop myself? And she's just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn that.
Right.
I like that. That's so cool. It's very inspiring.
Thanks.
I'm wondering, how did she hook you up, though? How did she refer you? Because you said that she gave you a bunch of connections. So how did that happen? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, the first job she got me on was actually a pilot. So it was a pilot for a television show.
And how'd she get you on that?
Yeah, so it was actually the very end of it, at the very end of the shoot. It was a 2-week shoot. It was the last 2 days. But the hair and makeup team on that, they actually wanted an additional PA just to help them wrap up for the pilot. So last minute, I guess a second AD for that, and it's a pilot for a show called The Good Girls Revolt. And the second AD was like, hey, PAs, does anyone know anyone? So my friend Angeline, she was like, you know what, I know someone. She would love to be a PA, and she kickboxes, so she has the strength to move a lot of stuff. So they were like, oh, okay, because I think they wanted a guy to do it, not a girl. But my kickboxing background, I guess, kind of helped for that. So I became like a PA for the hair and makeup team for that for a couple of days. And then from there, I met another PA, and he was like, hey, I need someone for this week. I have a commercial if you'd like to be on it. I was like, sure. So I worked on that. And so I made that connection as well. And then from there, I actually had to wait a few weeks. I waited a little bit. I got on Facebook, and there's a bunch of different PA groups. So it's a bunch of groups where, different productions are like, hey, we need PAs. So I was just kind of reaching out all over the place.
And how were you reaching out? What were you saying? I'm available this week. I just got off of this show. Is that how you did it?
Yeah. So I kind of, made my resume. I padded it a little bit, I'll be honest. I kind of said I'd done a little bit more than I had. But a lot
when you say you did a little bit more than you had, what do you mean, though? What do you mean by that? Like, what would you, just curious.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'd say, like, I'd been working on, I had worked on a documentary, that I'd worked on a few commercials, that I had just worked off on a television pilot, and that I was looking for more work. But a lot of the postings, especially for these Facebook groups, are very last minute. So it's more like, hey, we need a PA in like an hour. So I'd be like, hey, I'm available. I've done these things. I'd love to help. And in that case, it'd be like, all right, great, you're booked. So it was kind of very off the cuff, just like, just do it. We need a PA. You're available. Great, show up.
Yes, yes. When she said padded a little bit, yeah, I kind of totally did that too. Like when I was in South Africa, I said, oh, I did this and I did those things, but you just mention it. You don't go into detail and people are like, okay, they're not going to ask you, oh, exactly how long and what did you do and what equipment did you work with? They're not going to do that, you know? So, you know, it's all the truth, but you just don't worry about it, you guys. Just put out there what you've done. You know, I've worked on this TV show, this one, just add them all up, and then people are like, okay, she's experienced, which is what happened. Yeah. It's all that it takes.
Especially just because on sets people ask, they're like, oh, how long have you been a PA for? And, you know, for me, it's only really been a couple of months, but I have done, you know, some PA jobs in the past, just like off and on. So my usual answer is, you know, I just got into it really. I just fully went into it a few months ago, but I've been doing it off and on for years.